Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. This is your host, Emmett Muckles. You know where to find it, Stitcher, iTunes, or you can go to emmettmuckles.com. Make sure you do it because I want to get this message out to all of you, to inspire, to make you feel whole, and to make you feel connected. That is what it's about. We are a billion people on this planet, so you're already a billionaire. You have a billion sales, a billion thoughts. That's how it works. So you just need to be you and discover what it is within your heart that makes you tick. Today, my guest is Bryan Falchuk. Let me tell you this. When you are ready to make a change, it is up to you. And Bryan is the epitome of that. He found that there were changes that need to be made while he was going through some adverse situations. How you doing, Bryan?
I'm doing great.
So you wrote this book, Do a Day. And
yeah.
How did that come about? I'm going through my questions backwards. How did it come about with the book? Because for one thing, most people say, I want to write a book, but they never really get to it.
Yeah.
But you was like, I'm going to do it.
It's not my style. Yeah. I'm not the never really get to it kind of person. So, all right, where did it all come from? Let me take you back a minute or 6 years, right? So background, way before that, I was the fat kid, like the fat kid, not just like the fat kid.
You're the fat kid.
I was, like I earned the name. I was about 100 pounds overweight from a young age.
So you were fat friend Bryan.
Yeah, friend zone for life kind of thing, exactly. So that's my background, and I think, that's a lot of people's background, and that came from my parents' divorce and like the emotional things that come out of that. So what do kids do? They don't understand their feelings. Food feels good. It doesn't judge you. It's not moving out, all those kinds of things. So there's a whole story in there, and I walk through that in the book, but there's a really pivotal moment. And, some people have these moments where like your life flashes in front of your eyes, these sort of like truth defining moments. You don't have to have one of those to find your purpose and your why, but I did. So my moment, I'm a father and a husband, not in that order, it's the husband first. But my wife and I have this amazing little boy, and 2011, my wife's got a chronic illness, and it all came to a head in 2011. That's when she was really in the throes of it. And she got to a place where she was bedridden, she was losing 2 pounds a day, had wasted away, and her doctor's like, I'm going on vacation, let's check in 6 weeks. And I'm like, look, you do the math. She's not going to be here in 6 weeks. And his response was just, okay, well, you can call the ER and, she can go in if you need. I'm like, she's not going to make it. And your response is, I'm going to wherever I'm going, just, dial 911, no big deal. Obviously, it was a serious big deal. So 2011, June 30th, my wife is in bed. I have taken a month off from work, or kind of off, like I'm working from home, and my work was being really good and accommodating. But our 2-year-old son is standing between me and her in the bed, and it just all hit me as I'm looking at this little boy who's watching his mother die. And not to spoil it, she did not die. She overcame it. So
good.
I don't remember the story, but that's kind of important stuff.
That is important.
Yeah. So he's watching that. And at the same time, I had put on a lot of the weight that I had lost before. Slowly but surely, life happens, responsibility, you slow down, you like secondhand chicken nuggets from my son, it happens. They're very good. So here I am, 20, 30 pounds away from my heaviest weight again.
What were you,
depressed.
Where did you top out at?
I don't know. I stopped counting at 248. So when I was what was that, like 7th grade? I think I was 248, 7th or 8th grade, somewhere around there. I was 248, but I kept going. Because my pants kept getting bigger.
How tall are you?
I was 6'2". I'm 6'1" now, which I don't like to admit, but my wife will correct me. I'm like 6'1 and a half. Can we just round it? Let's round it to 6'2". So yeah, I'm tall, but it's not enough that was normal,
right.
So I got up into the 220s. And on top of that, I was depressed. And this is before my wife got sick. Like, I was in a bad place before she got sick. And then you add into it I'm 33 years old at the time, and I've got this little boy, and my wife's dying, and no one can help her, and it's, I'm unhappy at work, like everything. So the way I put it is my son is standing there watching his mother die, and behind him is his father who's also dying, just at a slower rate.
Yeah.
And that, I tell you exactly the day. It was June 30th, 2011. I know what time of day it was. I know the setting, everything, because it was so like a light switch moment for me. It just hit me as this is not okay. This little boy deserves better. Whether his mother makes it or not, I am not being a good enough father to him. And my responsibility to him and my love for him is so big that I need to do better, because this is not acceptable. So, we went about the rest of the day. It was like just before dinner, I did the dinner and bedtime routine, and it was just all brewing in me. And I woke up the next morning, literally a completely different person than I went to bed. Because in that moment, I had found what I've always lacked. Like when I lost weight the first time, it was about how other people perceived me. It was about being the fat kid.
Yep.
And that was high school. And I went to college, and there was one person from my high school there. So no one really knew me as the fat kid, and I had already lost weight. So my whole reason being about what other people perceived, that ended. So of course I lost my way. Now I'm talking about something that's much deeper, much more just real and enduring. And my son's not going anywhere. And more importantly, my responsibility to him as his father is never going anywhere, no matter what happens.
He's 4 years old now, correct?
No, he's 8.5.
I was looking at the video on YouTube.
No. Yeah, no, he's still a little dude, but he's a big guy now. Yeah, he's awesome. He's just a good person, and that's all you can ask for, really. So I'm very proud of him. I wouldn't take credit for all that at all. His mother is a much bigger hand in that. She's a good person.
But kids make us better, though.
Yeah, and for me, that's what it was. And so when I talk to people like, well, I don't have kids, or I didn't have any near-death experience, or I did an interview with a Navy SEAL who got blown out of his vehicle by a rocket and lay on the ground in the desert to die. Like that's a find your motivation kind of moment, right? That brings clarity of vision and values. You don't have to have a gun in your face to figure out what matters to you. And it's a tough thing for some people to do. And I try to help through that in my book, and I help people with that in my coaching work. But ultimately, what we all need is to find our why. You got to find what actually is the reason why you're doing things. So I ask, like, what is it you will always care about no matter what? It's not about what people think of you. It's not about how much money you want to have. It's not about that job you want to get to, or beach season, or getting over whatever. It's going to be a lot deeper than that. And it has to endure. Because like beach season comes and goes, that high school reunion you're losing weight for, what happens when it's over?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of my biggest motivators is the fact that I've seen very healthy people who are, you see them after they've had this. And in my community, what typically happens is young people will suffer strokes. And there's no reason for it. And you see them physically, they're infirmed a bit. But if you look at them, you're like, why did that happen? And it's stress and lifestyle and food and not exercising. And all that comes into play. So you're absolutely right when you have to find your why to do it, because that's your motivation.
Yeah.
I have another question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do people, when they meet you and they hear your last name, do they think you're married to Gwyneth Paltrow?
That's my cousin. Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah. Because I was like, that kept coming up. And I was like, how are these two people tied together? So I have to ask. I kept seeing, Brad and Bryan. I'm like, there's got to be a correlation here.
Yeah.
When you decided what was your steps for transformation? You knew that you had a why, but then just as everyone else in life, they know their why, but then they don't know the path. The path is really not clear to them. What was your opening for your path? What was it? Step by step, brick by brick, and then you began to see the whole picture, or did it come to you and you're like, this is what I have to do?
So there's two things, and two things makes it sound like they're small things, but there are two things that you could also count a different way and be like, it's a billion. Go with your podcast, right?
Yep.
So the first is you take that why and you point it in the direction of a real goal. So I talk in the book about how to build meaningful goals, and this is about things that, have some sort of ultimate endpoint that you can measure. You can know when you get there. They have to have some sort of time bound to them. So it's not about, lose weight or be a better person. Like that is a good goal, but by when and how do you measure? What does better mean? Better than what? When people say like, my goal is to go to the gym. Okay, well, if you walk into the gym and you leave, have you met your goal?
I've done that.
And yeah, well, okay. Or if you go to the smoothie bar, does that count? Or if you go once, you just said go to the gym. Well, you went to the gym. Is that it? Or to work out more than what? You have to start getting specific with it. So one is to create a meaningful goal. And it's not just one, pick different aspects of your life. You should have goals in every major aspect of your life. Why wouldn't you want something to strive for, to work for, to look forward to, and build towards? And then the other is, it's the philosophy of do a day itself. And that's really how I deliver it. Because we all have I want X, and you might be, it might be specific, you might have time bounds to it, it might be important and blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have the ability to get through to that goal, it's worthless. And that's been the defining thing for me. That's the real difference. And that's when I was like, I need to share this with more people, because I've been coaching with this mentality. I've done it myself. If I coach 24/7 a day, I'm never going to touch enough people with it.
Yeah.
So that's when it was like, I had the content, I didn't have the book. And I was like, I need to put this on paper so I can reach more people. And that's what's been happening. I get at least one outreach, one message a day from someone I've never heard of before, who's read the book or has seen how they can change their life with it, or maybe they've been going through something or gotten through something. Like, you put it in perspective in a way that is very, people who've dealt with death of a loved one, and they're like, you brought a perspective to it that I couldn't appreciate, that I have more peace with the situation now.
Cool. And I have to go back, and before your awakening, what did your life consist of?
That's a hard question to answer, because before we're awake, we don't know what we're doing. We go aimless. No, it's very, I don't mean that like literally, although that could be true. I mean it sort of figuratively. Is when you're just going through the motions, life is happening to you, versus you're awake to it. You're making active choices for a purpose. That's a real difference. So, it's like the notifications on our phone, we respond to them. We don't really think. And next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by and you've just been, flipping your thumb going through the Facebook black hole. I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of it, but when people are like, I don't have time for something, I'm like, do you use Facebook? But yeah. Okay. No, you have time. Yeah. You got to exercise a bit of restraint with that. But I did things. I don't really know what the point was. I had a job. It was fine. Fine isn't all that interesting.
It paid the bills and kept you safe.
Yeah, paid the bills, looked good on my resume, kept me safe. But what's the point of that? I don't know if I liked it or not. And looking back, I do know I didn't. But at the time, it was like, get up, go to work. And that's how most people are, and that's okay. I'm not, there's no shame in that. But wouldn't it be better to be better?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I realized. So do a day is really simple. It's simple to say. It takes some work to do, but it's an active choice that we make, and that's where the word do comes in. And the day is about time boxing it. So today, nothing you did yesterday or before yesterday really matters. So if you screwed up before, you don't have to live in shame or guilt or judgment, because you're going to take all that into today and make your choices today from that place of pain and insecurity. And I guarantee you, we make bad choices when we make them from a place of insecurity. And at the same time, what about everything that's yet to come? So if you look at that weight loss example, right? I had 100 pounds to lose. Would you start? Most people wouldn't, right? Or you go and you bust it at the gym, and you're not eating, or you're like living on a cracker or a piece of celery, and you're like, oh, it's got to be like 10 pounds, right? You get on the scale and maybe it says 99, maybe it says 101. Then what do you do? Because you're still, oh my God, I did all this stuff and nothing happened. I still have too much to do, and you quit. So you're living in fear and anticipation of the future. And that can be something good too. So I talk about in the book, when I first met my wife, I was like, for anyone who knows me, if you can't tell, speechless, not a word people usually use with me. I could not talk. And the thing with that was like, I don't remember about 2 weeks of my life because I was purely like, what if I see her? What am I going to say? And oh my gosh, she's emailing me. How am I going to get her to go out with me? And then I ran into her and I was a bumbling idiot because I was so focused on like, this like planned meetup with her that I didn't even know how to deal with the chance one. And so I even missed out on that. So it doesn't have to be about something bad. It doesn't have to be about fear. It can be about positive anticipation, but either way you miss out on right now. How can you expect to make the right choices towards your goals if you're stuck in fear and judgment of yesterday or anticipation and fear of tomorrow? You can't. And that's the day part of it.
Let me ask you, did you ever go to Toastmasters? Because one of the things that most people fear is the fear of public speaking. And, and you're that guy.
I'm that guy. I haven't gone to Toastmasters, but I've gone to a lot of people who tell me I should go to Toastmasters. It keeps coming up, and I probably should. My biggest thing is I travel a lot, and so to pick a city where I would do it in and never go to the events because I'm not there, that's been the trick, but that's an excuse. So I'll admit that. I can find some way to do it.
I'm going to give you a tip. So right. Toastmasters is, because I was a member of Toastmasters. I did well in it. I needed it, actually. And I travel just like you now. That's why we had so many, trying to link up. But there's a Toastmaster in every city, just about every day of the week. And I still, to keep me out of bars and things like that when I'm on the road, I will find the Toastmasters and just go hang out with them.
Oh, all right. So you don't have to join just one chapter?
You can join a chapter and let them know what your lifestyle is like.
Yeah.
You can say, look, I'm a busy person. I'll get here when I can. But the important thing is to get the workbook and keep the workbook with you because you can do the workbook at those other clubs.
Okay.
So that helps you out. And it's really important because there's little things that you don't notice that other people will that will fine tune. It's like speaking coach. That's pretty much what it is. So it's a really great thing. That's my gift for you today, Mike.
I appreciate that. And so I have had that from a lot of people, but no one's told me that piece of it. So that's a freedom of entering it that I hadn't heard before. Yeah. And I know there are things. So I've had the luck, because I enjoy it, of public speaking for quite a while. In my job, it's something I've done. I get good opportunities to do it, but I did get from someone. I did a keynote at an event like 2 months ago, and then I sat on a panel, and this guy was telling me, he's like, it was really interesting watching your face as some of the questions got asked. I was like, oh, well, that's not good. I was like, you weren't supposed to know that I thought that was an absurd question. No, it wasn't that. It was, but he could tell I was reacting to something. And that's one of the things is body language, right? Yeah. So what's going on with us? And I am an expressive, passionate person, but there's a time and place.
Yeah, that's true. So let me figure this out from you, because you've gone from 0 to 100 in a short amount of time. How did you plan this out to say, I'm going to write this content or produce this content, and with the goal in mind to spread this to people? And one of the hardest things about having a book is not writing the book. It's actually after the book is written and produced. Yeah. Now you have to get it to the public. What was your process?
Is the work. No, that is 100%. Everyone's like, I can't believe you wrote the book. Writing the book was the easiest part of it. It was also insanely rewarding. So I have a mentor myself. I was on a great call with him, and we were talking about ultimately, like, where do I see my life? Where's my goals? He's like, all right, let's start to step backwards and see the pieces that you need to get in place for that. I was in San Francisco for work. It was at night. Next morning I got up. I went to run along the Embarcadero, along the ocean, which is just, if you run, even if you don't just go there, it's awesome. Yep. So I had this really mind-clearing run. It was December of 2016. Yeah, 2016. And on that run, we didn't talk about a book on the call, but it hit me as I started. I was like, of course I need to write a book. That's what's going to be the catalyst for all these things I want to achieve. And I knew immediately, I didn't have to think about like, well, what would my book be? I knew exactly what the book was. So on the run, I structured the book, got back to the hotel, showered, packed, got in an Uber, actually it was a Lyft, just saying. Got to the airport, and I hunkered down in the airport in the terminal waiting for my flight and just started pounding out on my keyboard like crazy. I got on the plane, 7 hours back to the East Coast, bang, bang, bang. I wrote about 35% of the book on that flight.
Wow.
It changed a bit, but like I had the structure and I had the first several chapters. So I knew like I'm speaking from my heart and I'm speaking from a philosophy I've been living and teaching for years. So if I can't say that myself and just get it out, then there's something wrong with what I'm teaching, right?
Right.
So I knew that from right off the bat. So it took about 3 months to get it to a place where I felt like, okay, I'm ready to share this with someone. Now, some people say like, well, you wrote it and I grew a lot from writing it. That's good enough, but it's not good enough. Because the reason I did it is, like I said, I'm doing it to help people. I know this works. I've seen it in a number of different situations. I'm hearing about it in all these other situations. So I wouldn't be doing the philosophy or what the power is justice, or, I mean, this sounds big, but like I wouldn't be doing the world justice if I didn't try to get this out there. Mm-hmm. So I'm not I don't want to swear, but like a half-stepping kind of guy, I should put it like that. I don't know if you're cool with that, so I'll just leave it at that.
This is the whole point of it, is to be you. And listen, I mean, you can see we're just chopping it up like we're sitting somewhere on the patio with a beer or two.
All right, well, you'll bleep me if you need to.
I certainly will.
All right, this isn't that bad. I'm not a half-assed kind of guy. That's just not how I fly. All right, so I'll be like, oh, shucks. So I had to put it out. And the reality is, like, there are so many tools for self-publishing, and that's not the hard part. But the hard thing actually was the editing. That took a long time. Because it's something I'm passionate about, and I actually wanted really critical feedback, and so I sent it to a bunch of friends, and they're like, "This is good, I like this." I'm like, "Nah, thanks, but I need you to be like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what you're saying here. This isn't working for me. Like, I need challenge, because it's not going to help anyone if it's just okay. Like, I have no interest in being fine." Right. So I ended up getting a professional editor. That made a big difference. But this right here, not just your podcast, but getting that word out, getting the launch to be a success, I've got like probably 5 interviews a week.
Yeah, you've done at least 50, because we were on a podcast. We have a kinship. Okay. You and I were on the 6 Minute Stepdad.
Oh, isn't Tim great?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So
I love what he's trying to do. That's such positivity, and no one is doing that right now.
Yeah, when I heard the episode with you, I didn't even register. I was in my car, and I was like, I know that guy. Why does that guy's name sound familiar? And then
is he dating Gwyneth?
Yeah. I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, I got to talk to that guy this month.
Yeah. It's a small world.
It is a small world, especially for those. And this is a whole thing about what you do, what I'm trying my best to do. My thing is servitude. Is to give to people, because there is someone out there who may be inspired by you. They may be inspired by me, because I've actually seen this in my own life, where someone says, I saw you at a period and I didn't think what you were doing was possible in my life, but then I saw you doing it and you were just trying. Trying. That's all you have to do is try, because we often think that we think in big strides, but when you take a walk or you take a run, your strides are not that long. There are a bunch of little steps that get you to the distance that you need to be. And that's the whole thing I'm trying to impart with the Billionaire Lifestyle, is connect your mind, body, and spirit, and just try to be the best you. Yeah. Not the outside, what the outside world is telling you, but just try to be you. Look in the mirror and just say, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? What's my why? And follow that path. Don't try to leap to the end. Just start walking in that direction, and you'll get there.
Yeah, we don't climb a mountain by stepping to the top.
No, we don't.
And each of those stumbles is valuable in its own way.
All right, I'm going to ask you, we're almost to the last question. But all right, can you give a list of actionable steps that people can do to make change in their life?
So the first is you change. No. So the first one, I feel like the question is implying these things are easy, and they're not. And that's kind of the whole point. So the book is not long on purpose. I don't want you to spend a lot of time on my words. I want my words to spark a lot of time with yourself. because that's the first step, is get in your own head, challenge yourself, push yourself to figure out that why. Because if you don't have it, honestly, the rest of it's not going to happen. If you don't know why you're doing things, then what are you even doing in the first place?
Right.
So that first step is the biggest and hardest of all, because you're going to have to challenge yourself and really look within. There's a guy I was talking to about wanting to be in better shape, and he's like, I know I should go to the gym because I feel better, so that's my motivation. I was like, really? I don't think it is. And he's like, no, that's my motivation because I want to feel better. I was like, okay, are you going to the gym? He's like, no. I was like, then that's not your motivation. He's like, yes, it is. You don't understand. I'm like, no, this is what you have to challenge yourself with. If it was your motivation, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So unless you're living this fulfilled life, you probably haven't figured out what your real motivation is. So that's the first and most important thing. And you can call that steps 1 through 9 because it's that big.
Yeah. Who is it? Sinek says start with
Simon,
why.
yep.
Simon Sinek says that is a reoccurring theme in this society of people who are awakening, because that's what I say. There is an awakening in people, and I'm just waiting for that tipping point, because we're at a really critical imbalance right now, particularly in our nation, because you can see it in the attitudes of people and things that are happening in the world.
Hatred,
but it's, the foundation of it is ignorance, where people simply don't know the truth. Yeah. And there's a series of books that I'm reading that just made me go, wow, we've forgotten more than we actually know.
Yeah, of course.
And that's a big thing. Now, where can people reach you?
So I try to put everything in one place, and that didn't work so well, but you can get everything else. So it's doadaybook.com. That's the book's website. You can learn about the book. You can buy the book. You can link out to all the social media that's there. You can look at getting coaching, or if you want me to come to a speaking engagement, whatever. So doadaybook.com. It's on Amazon, iTunes, Kindle, Nook, Barnes & Noble, like every format. So I didn't do this. My why has nothing to do with making money, just as I believe yours is. Like you say, it's about servitude. I strongly believe the businesses that exist to make money fail, or you don't really want to be a customer of them. When you exist for a purpose, the money and that stuff happens because you deserve it to. So I'm out there to help people. I don't care how people are like, well, where do you want them to buy your book? Where do you make the most money? I said, I don't care. Like, I don't need to make any money on the book. I need it to change lives. Everything else will work out. So doadaybook.com. However you want to do it, you find the book there. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. It's all Do a Day Book, and it's all linked up there.
Cool beans. How come you don't post more videos on YouTube?
I haven't posted any videos on YouTube under Do a Day. I have another alter ego called New Bodies. That's like my coaching business's original name. So you'd find it NEWBODI. That's like my most active Twitter feed. I had a video podcast for a while. I did like 30 something episodes. It's some work.
It is work.
Yeah. But I will say recording an audiobook is much more work and it's much less enjoyable. I actually missed doing the video. Really, it's just about location. I've been getting into Facebook Live, just the ease of it. I don't worry about the production because I produced my videos. Now you might look at them and be like, he should have produced them more, but I tried. But yeah, so I've been trying to do some Facebook Live and I've thrown them up on YouTube. I do need to do more of that. I gotta get that going more.
Yeah, because there's a lot of constituencies. Is that a word? It is now.
It is now.
There are a lot of people who are not on Facebook and I'm finding that more and more every day. I'm having this party at my house for adults and kids. I said I specifically want to have a picnic at my house for some of the people I know. And my wife said to me, she was like, you haven't invited anyone. I said, babe, I have 1,500 people on my personal Facebook. Yeah. How can I ever? She was like, just pick random. I'm like, I'm going to pick them all. I was like, when you have a concert in your backyard, don't blame me.
Yeah. Rent a tent.
So what's your next move, my man? What's in the fray for the future? Because this is step one.
This is step one. Yeah, this is the catalyst. So I'm continuing this story. I'll put this out there. I'm trying to get into a TEDx talk. I want to do the public speaking thing, and I think that this is a message that should be in that kind of forum. So that's my next push. I'm also in about 2 weeks, my first article will be out. I'm becoming a columnist at Inc. Magazine's website. So you can start to find me on Inc.com, and it's content related to the book. So motivation and how to succeed. You know, the Inc. is more of a business setting, but I can't help it but bring it back to life as a whole, because I don't think you succeed in anything without succeeding in everything. You said ignorance, right? That's the problem with society. It starts with ignorance of self.
Yeah.
So if you want to succeed in any aspect of your life, you have to be willing to succeed as a person in the first place. So it keeps coming back to that stuff for me. I love the positioning you're taking of it all comes together. It's holistic success, holistic knowledge.
You know, I come from Detroit, Michigan, the east side of Detroit.
Good for you, man.
I'm quite a few years older than you. Quite a few.
You never know.
And my generation, a lot of my generation, particularly of my demographic, got lost. And when I say lost, they're dead or they're committed in jail for a long time. So there's a lot of people who were just not with us. So for me to come up and to make it through there unscathed, I have to give back. I have to let people know that there is a possibility for you to be anything you desire. Because where I'm at today, even my house, my wife, everything I thought of when I was a kid, I was like, this is what I want. And sometimes people get there and forget to look back and recognize that that's what they've been asking for all along. So sometimes you have to stop, breathe, meditate, and just think back and say, what did I want? Because you may have hit a goal already and it's time for you to find a new one.
Yeah, very true.
Well, I know where to reach you. And if you find out how to get on that TEDx, you hit your man Emmett up, because that's one of my goals too, because I have a lot to say.
I think I can tell, and I think you'd be great for it. You have an awesome energy about positivity. It needs to be out there. I'm glad you're doing this.
It does, because the narrative of our media does not, for one, there's kind of a war on men, and I'm just going to put it out there. There's this war, there's wars seriously on white men and black men, but there's a war on men in general. And I understand, how the pendulum shifts, but we need to keep the narrative up so that the generations coming behind us have a barometer to follow. And you are that guy, man. I have one last question. Two last questions. Did you have skin issues after you lost that weight?
It's not that I did, I do. So I look much better with a shirt on than off. But so people, I don't think people would recognize that. It's a bit of the grass is always greener. We look at people and we're like, oh, they have it easy. Yeah. He's always been, people are like, well, you must be. No, I struggled with it. Just because I have a six pack, you'll never see it because there's a keg sitting on top of it. Right. I don't drink, so it's not going anywhere. It's not terrible, but I have skin issues and I'm okay with that.
I come from very big people. I have an aunt or two who is 9 months pregnant. We didn't know. So, so I had some people who have lost weight. That's one of my motivations for staying at a certain number. My number's 217. When I hit 217, it's time to hit it hard to get it way under that. 217 and 36. 36 is the size pants. If I fit into a 36 and they don't fall off, there's a problem in my life. And I realize it immediately. And there's one other thing. Now I'm having one of those brain things. Where can people see you next? Live.
I'm speaking at an insurance conference because that's what I do by day. I don't recommend any normal humans see me at that, but that's coming up. I'm speaking at 2 in October, but that's not recommended for anyone. I'm working on the live thing. I mean, there's some video interviews I've done, but I don't know when they're coming out because they're not mine. So I got to wait for the host to do it. But if you check out doadaybook.com, I'll keep that all posted with what's coming out. Cool. Stuff in the works, man.
So I'll put a link on the website when I post this. It'll be a couple of weeks before we get it up. But I'll definitely put a link to your Amazon so that people can at least have a method to find it, because some people, I don't know what to do. They'll spell it wrong. I'm going to put
Yes.
it for you just
Yeah.
so you can grab it. And do you have another book in you?
I have a few books in me. The next one in the vein of Do a Day, I don't want it to be my story. I've told my story. So all this outreach I'm getting from people, the next one is your day. Like I want to bring it, I don't know that that's what I'm going to call it. Someone told me I should call it Two a Day, but that's like a football training reference. I don't know about that. But I want to put together a story of people's application of Do a Day in their lives, because I think the more varied situations you can share, the more likely it is going to resonate with someone. Because someone picks up my story and they're like, well, I'm not a vegan. I don't run marathons. I wasn't fat. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. I don't care. Like, well, you're missing the point. Like, I can show you these things to teach you the philosophy. You don't have to have lived what I've lived. But I do think it's helpful if at least one of those stories is like, yeah, I've been through that, or I'm going through that. You know, and there's lots of things I never have and never will go through. So I want to expand it into my readers' stories.
You know what's going to happen? You ever watch Johnny Carson, where he used to be the guy that?
Karnak.
The great Karnak.
Yeah.
I'm about to be the great Karnak. I foresee the Do a Day movie documentary.
All right, I'll talk to Gwyneth. No, you know what? I've thought about a reality TV show just to follow people.
Yeah.
You know, let's watch some people go through transformation.
You know,
it's a long show.
But that's the thing, man. Just think about The Biggest Loser or all the shows where you see transformation, because that is the thing that resonates with people. So they see that it's for real, that it's actual, particularly when you see humans, not actors, but just regular people and their families, and they have jobs and they have light bills, and if they can make a change in their life, that is inspirational. For me, it's Ultimate Fighter.
Okay.
Because I look at these guys, and I've known a couple of MMA fighters or wrestlers, and these people who are not very big, but they are just such physical powerhouses.
Tenacity.
And that inspires me to make sure that I maintain this 50-plus-year-old body into the right
Wow,
size.
I was not expecting that number.
Right. My birthday.
Good for you, man.
My birthday's July 4th, so we'll be in Memphis. So if anybody's in Memphis, send me something on Twitter at emuckles.com, and we can hang out on Beale Street. Well, my man, the last question is, you are not 20 currently, correct?
That is definitely correct. I'm about double that.
So you're sitting in, like 5 minutes from now, you'll be sitting there, you'll be cleaning up from this interview, and your doorbell rings, and you open it up, and there's a 20-year-old Bryan at the door, and he's going to ask you, what do you have for me? What piece of advice can you give me right now?
Ooh. I'm trying to think what I was going through when I was 20 and what could be helpful to me at age 20. Another podcast asked me this, but I was 6. So different things, but actually, you know what? I would actually talk about the same thing, but in a completely different way, because the reality is at 20, I still hadn't dealt with what happened at 6. And it would be another 8 or 9 years before I really faced all the things from my childhood, what I directly experienced, what was going on in my family. So I would say, you know what? You can talk to someone. And I don't know how long I can talk to myself for. Maybe I could be that someone or be a start for it, but it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say I'm hurting or I'm confused or this didn't feel good. You don't have to dismiss it. Doesn't matter if someone else's situation was worse or better than yours. You know, it's not like a competition of who had it worse. So it's okay to face these things. And if you don't, they're going to face you forever.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome, my man. I thank you so much for joining the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this. Sometimes the mirror can be a lie, as I found out because I did a photo shoot yesterday. But the mirror is you. It's your perception of you. And there's one thing that you can actually do. I want you to look in that mirror, and I want you to just sit there and be with yourself for a minute. You know, when you get out the shower, just sit after you brush your teeth, wipe the steam off the glass, and just look into the eyes that are looking back at you. And just hang out with yourself. And I want you to mouth these words. You are loved. Because it's true. Even though we don't know it, we don't feel it, and that might be our own blockage. But someone out there is admiring you. Someone is watching you. Someone is saying that person is special in my life. They just haven't said it to you because you may be putting up barriers. Let the barriers go. You are a boundless human being. That's why you are a billionaire with a lifestyle. So love yourself as we love you. Till next time, peace.